I'm going to zip through some of this because we have a lot of material to cover. And again, you're going to have the recording. I'm going to send the presentation. And so you should be able to make good use of this. What I want you to understand is that there is no one right way to do either a resume or CV, but there are a lot of wrong ways. And the idea here is you want to answer the questions that are posed in a position description. Whether we're talking about applying for something in business and industry or something in the academic realm, essentially you want to show the reader that you've got what they're asking for. You possess content knowledge, skill sets, software tools, equipment, processes, languages you know how to use, and or experience. And all that experience is our experience. All that experience is being able to take content knowledge you've acquired and your skill sets and accomplish a task, being able to demonstrate, yes, I can use my knowledge and my skills to do something specific. So let's move along here through the presentation. I have over 15 years of experience as a career counselor. I'm now called a career consultant senior. I do work with HCAP for the past 4 years. I worked with the College of Engineering. I'm also specifically a liaison to the graduate college. So I do lots of presentations, again, job search, resume, CV, interviewing, etc. So I've got lots of knowledge to share with you. This is what we're going to talk about today, essentially the purpose of each document. And we're going to talk a little bit about what distinguishes a CV from a resume. General guidelines. This means everything else being equal, this is what you want to do. How to decipher a position description. So you're reading that position description. What is it they want to know? How do you show them? Yes, I've got those things. Tailoring your resume or CV using keywords and action verbs. Now, this is very simple. It's not easy. It takes work. Don't let anyone fool you. Putting these documents together takes work. You have to invest some time and energy in that. But it's important that you are able to tailor it to its purpose because you are demonstrating, first, your diligence in applying, but also that you speak the language of your profession, that you can articulate things in the vocabulary of your chosen profession. Now, different components and categories that can go into each document, how to do references, and some basic resources for you to be aware of. So, purpose of a resume. This is to interest the employer, to market your qualifications to the reader, okay? It is first and foremost a marketing piece. It is a snapshot. Now, I'm big on metaphors, so please bear with me. I tell students your resume is a snapshot. Now, in a snapshot, I can't have a full-on shot and a three-quarter shot and a profile shot in the same picture. Each of those is me, but not each of those tells the reader what they want to know. So this is where learning to read the position and description and understand what they're asking for and matching what you have to offer to that position, okay? So you want to tailor it to the position. Resumes are typically used in business, industry, government, and if you're interested in federal government, I'm going to tell you it's a different animal, and we can touch on that later, but nonprofit sectors for non-research positions. CVs are more in-depth information. Okay, if a resume is a snapshot, a CV is a short video, something you'd see on YouTube. Okay, it has more information and it should have a clear theme that runs through it, but it still needs to be tailored to the opportunity. I tell newly minted PhDs with a CV, 4 pages, tops, okay? This is not about trying to overwhelm the reader with your qualifications. This is about providing specific information to show them how you're a good fit. So it's about learning to tailor what we have to offer for the position. So it's going to be more detailed and have more information than a resume. And it's used for academic, scientific research or medical positions. if you're submitting manuscripts for publication, if you're a faculty member and you're up for tenure review, if you're applying for grants or fellowships, you would use a CV. Now, this is a primary thing I want you to understand. So my PhD program was in higher education. I essentially study institutions of higher education. Higher education is a prestige maximizing institution. What does that mean? That means we value things that bring prestige, accolades to the institution. Okay. Now, higher education rests on a tuffet. You know what a tuffet is? It's a three-legged stool, typically used for milking animals. I grew up on a farm. So the point is, the three legs that hold up higher education are research, and at institutions like UTSA, that's a primary leg. That is a major factor in terms of supporting higher education, research. Second is teaching. Teaching is valued very much at UTSA. And again, you get those teaching reviews every course, every semester, because we value that. That's important to us. The third leg that supports higher education is service. And it's not like community service. It's what have you done to advance the knowledge base in your field? How have you contributed to making your field more robust, or again, contributing to that knowledge base? Those three things are what tenure is based on. So in a CV, you're going to demonstrate how you've, again, developed your research, your teaching skills, your service for your field, because those are the things, again, as a faculty member, that are going to get you hired. And the same thing is true, again, whether we're talking postdocs or whatever. So the idea here is it's still tailored information for the area you wish to work on in your field. Okay. These are qualities that employers look for. And I'm going to tell you, all of you are developing these and have these. These tie in with the NACE career readiness competencies, which you can find under our undergraduate research page on our website, because page for every degree program, every college, we have these undergrad industry. And on the left-hand side of the page, it talks about leadership and teamwork, communication, professional development, etc. And the idea here is these are things not just that you want to develop while you're in your program, but be able to articulate to an employer how you have them. So communication and interpersonal skills. Do you play well with others? Can you, again, communicate clearly, accurately, concisely in your resume or CV, in an email, to an internal team, to an external client? Intelligence, analytical skills. Every employer out there wants individuals who have good analytical skills. You can look at a problem, break it down into its components, analyze it, and develop potential solutions. Enthusiasm, that you're excited about what you do, okay? You don't want to, again, be, oh God, I got to go to work today. You want to show some enthusiasm to the employer. Flexibility. By the way, there is not a job out there that will look the same when you leave that job as it did when you started, because you are going to change the job and the job is going to change you. It's an iterative process. You're going to learn things, but you're also going to make that job your own. So flexibility is what offers opportunities. Leadership skills. Again, this has nothing to do with power or control. This has to do with recognizing the strengths, the skill sets that others possess, and exploit in a negative way, but to get the job done. And again, teamwork and leadership go hand in hand. Teamwork is about recognizing my own skills. Hey, I'm really good at this. So are these people. I'm also really good at this. These people aren't. Maybe that's what I need to be contributing to the team in order to make us most effective. Energy, initiative, motivation. Don't just do what's required. Look for how you can make things better. Show them that, hey, I'm really invested in this. Maturity. This is about taking responsibility for your own actions. This is about, again, professional expectations in the field. Self-confidence. Okay. My father used to tell me when I was a kid, get in there and pretend like you knew what you were doing. This isn't fake it till you make it. This is knowing what you're capable of doing and being confident in executing those things. Last but not least, humility and an appropriate sense of humor. Here's the bottom line. At some point, you are going to fall flat on your face. You got to be able to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, laugh about what happened, and learn from the experience. Okay. Now, think back to when you applied to get into your graduate program. Okay. And you had to submit transcripts and standardized test scores, maybe even write a personal statement. Here's why I want to study this. Okay. Admissions officers for academic programs and human resources folks want to know the same information. They don't call it the same thing. So, again, admissions officers want to know, do you have the academic preparation? Did you take the math and science courses, et cetera? And the academic ability. You got good GPA, good standardized test scores to demonstrate you can be successful in this program. Human resources folks want to know, do you have the knowledge, skills, experience to do this job? The idea here is you want to show them, again, I've got what you're asking for in that position description. Now, the second thing that each of these groups want to know is, what makes you special? I got 20 other people want this spot. What do you bring to me that they don't? In economic terms, this is value added. So what is the value added you bring to this program or this position? Now, again, admissions officers want to know this because they're trying to build the strongest cohort of students they can, because you don't just learn from your faculty, you learn from one another in the program. Human resources folks, doesn't matter what business or industry we were talking about, they need people with different knowledge and skills and experience to get that enterprise accomplished and continue to be successful in their field. So those are the things that you need to communicate first through your resume, then through your interview. These are things that you want to show whoever, again, whatever the opportunity is, show them, yep, I've got what you're asking for. Now, general guidelines for a resume, and this is beyond bachelor's level. We tell students at bachelor's level, single page for a resume. I know faculty members who have multiple page CVs, but for a specific purpose, they can edit it to show, here's how I'm qualified to do this thing. So, and again, I've had junior faculty members that brought me 20-page CVs. And I'm going, nobody is going to read this. So again, this is about editing ourselves, about giving information that is relevant. By the way, that's a keyword. If you remember nothing from today's presentation, how is the content of my document relevant to the opportunity? Because if it's not, it doesn't belong in the document. Okay, it's great that you speak Swahili. If it has nothing to do with the job, who cares? Okay, so education. I tell students with a resume, there are only 4 things that have to go in the resume. Your contact information, because they need to know how to get in touch with you. Your education, because without the degree, they're not going to talk to you. And then it's either experience or skills. Which one comes first? Read the position description. If the first thing they're asking for is software, equipment you've used, tools, processes, languages, they want about skills. Front load that information. Okay. Relevant experience. And again, as I said, that could be projects, that can be volunteer work. Experience is about taking your content knowledge and your skill sets and accomplishing a task. So show them how you can do that. Specific interests or projects that you've done that are relevant to the opportunity. Professional involvement. So every person that I'm talking to right now should have a student membership in a professional organization in your field. Why? Student memberships are cheap compared to full-time professional memberships. Networking is the #1 way people find jobs, and professional associations are a great way to network. So take advantage of that. Again, personal characteristics, things that you would contribute to the working environment that's going to make you somebody these people want to work with. General guidelines, assuming it's printed, neutral paper, ivory, white, light gray, light blue, nothing garish, nothing fluorescent. Do not put a photo on your resume or CV. You want to be judged by what you know, skill sets you possess, your experience, not by how you look. So again, you can put your photo in your LinkedIn profile, but we don't put them in resumes or CVs. Again, the way you draw people's attention in this document is through bold, bullet points, italics, but again, you want to draw their eye to specific things. Do not use templates. First, templates are notorious for being difficult to add new materials to. And as you add, again, new knowledge, new skills, new experience, your resume or CV needs to reflect that. So you're going to have to update this. go into Word, set it up where you control tabs and margins, font size, etc. Avoid personal pronouns. So we talk about using keywords and action verbs. So use that action verb and tell me what you did. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Be consistent in your format. You want this document to be easy to read and communicate the information quickly and concisely. Your strongest selling points are at the top. As I mentioned, for the past 4 years, I worked with the College of Engineering. Frequently in engineering, the first thing employers want to know is, do you know this software? Have you used this equipment? So you forward that or front load that information in your document. Okay, key components, your contact information. Let's talk briefly about an objective or a summary. Personal bias, I own this. I don't like summaries. And the reason for it is people make sweeping statements. I'm an outstanding this or an excellent that. Based on what? Where's the evidence? Show me, again, in terms of your experience, under an experience, how you've done things, and let me be the judge. Now, objectives, you don't have to print one on your resume or CV, but philosophically, you should always start with one. An objective is to a resume what a thesis statement is to an essay. It's your purpose for putting the document together. This is what I'm looking for. Here's how I'm qualified to do that. Okay, so start with an objective. Again, you don't have to print it on the document. Your education, experience, skills, other relevant categories. And you know your field. You know what's relevant and what isn't. And if you don't, ask, okay? Your, again, colleagues, career service, we can help you with those things. For a CV, there may be additional things that can go into. So again, your contact information, again, objective or summary, and you might tell me about the type of position you're looking for if it's academic. Your education, you might tell me, again, if you're in a PhD program, you might give me, okay, this is the title of my dissertation, and here's who my committee was, and here's an abstract of what my research was. You can for a master's as well. Special training, fellowships, postdocs, certifications, licensure, endorsements, grants, publications, presentations, patents. You can break CV components down into, again, by type, research experience, teaching experience, clinical experience, administrative experience. All of these other things can go into a CV, okay? Again, keyword relevance. Make sure the information is relevant to what you're seeking. Your contact information. Okay, your name should be at least as large and bold as anything in the document because this is first and foremost a marketing piece. You're marketing what you have to offer to the reader. You do not necessarily need to have a mailing address or a street address, but you may. That's your choice. A lot of people, again, they may have their office address along with phone number. If you have a LinkedIn profile with a unique URL, something that leads directly to you, it's not the generic one they give you when you sign up, but you've corrected it to, hey, this is directing to Jeff Batten, then you can put that in as well. If you blog, if you have a website, if you have, again, other information that's relevant, you can put the link to that in your contact information as well. You need to minimally have your name, email address, and phone number where you can be reached. Your university email is perfectly acceptable, okay? These are things, again, that are gonna direct the reader to you. They can go and research you a little and know more about you. So make sure if you do have a LinkedIn profile that it's current. Now here's some sample headings. Again, Mike Jones, it's centered, it's all right there. Susan Williams has both current address and permanent address. This may be an issue if, yeah, I'm here in San Antonio, but hey, I'm looking for jobs in Miami and I want them to know I have a permanent address there so I can be local to do work, not working remotely if I need to. Chris has made everything all one line. He's saved space. I think that's great. Again, that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper is valuable real estate. Don't waste it. You can choose whether or not to use an objective and or print it on the document. But like I said, philosophically, you should use an objective to focus your document on the type of position you're seeking. So maybe you have one resume for one type of job and a different one for another type of job, depending on your degree and where you're going in your field. So here are some sample objectives: management internship in a community service agency, faculty position in an engineering program at a public research institution, utilizing research skills and teaching experience, medically related research position in a lab setting. So they're telling me, again, this is the type of position I'm seeking. Again, it shows goodness of fit for what's in the position description. Education category for resume. Again, the institution, your degree program, anticipated graduation date. If your GPA is good, put it on there. If it's not, leave it off. Okay, don't spend a lot of energy on this. Any employer who's going to require a specific GPA is going to require that you submit transcripts. So if it's good, put it on there. If it's not, leave it off. Never round up. This is not ethical behavior. So if, again, you have relevant coursework that is specific to the opportunity, you might include that in a resume. You wouldn't in a CV. And again, if you've done a thesis or some other type of research that's relevant, you could include that. Certifications are licensure, again, if they're relevant. Financing of education. So we can talk about our degrees that we've received. First one, again, in history with their bachelor's. Second, with a master's in biomedical engineering. They also got a bachelor's from another institution. Or a CV. Okay, PhD, civil engineering, dissertation. Here's the title. Who's my advisor? Master's degree, thesis title, advisor, bachelor's degree. Experience, again, relevant to the job. It can come from internships, full or part-time jobs, volunteer or service learning, projects you've done, academic research, work you did, again, projects with clubs or organizations in your field. In a CV, again, you can arrange this by categories. So sample experience. So here's somebody specifically in, what do I want to say, a scientific field, used electrophoresis, a capillary electrophoresis to characterize separation of behavior change, biosurfactants, and electric field. Explored the applicability of specific biosurfactant in micellar electrokinetic chromatography applications. And they've abbreviated so they can use that later again and not have to spell everything out. But initially, you do want to spell things out. The idea here is you want to give them examples of your experience. Here's one done in chronological order. This is for, again, someone working in clinical settings. Here's someone who's talking about first specific internship experience they have that's targeted for their field, but then they're showing about other experience they have that is related but not specific to their field. Here's, again, sample experience for teaching associate and taught computer-aided drafting and materials, testing laboratory, 300 undergraduate students. Teaching assistant, taught soil mechanics lab to 500 third-year students. Graded examinations for a materials science course. Assistant lecturer, taught fluid mechanics, structural design, geotechnical design and survey to over 500 undergraduates. Other experience. So these are things that are relevant to the field, but maybe not specific to the job. Skills can come from any variety of places, from coursework you've taken, employment, internships, volunteer experience. The crucial thing here is that you're able to, again, demonstrate and articulate that to the employer. So the first one, it's kind of broad because we're talking about things in the field of business. Again, the types of experience they have. Second one is very specific, technical skills. So blood preparation and immunological assays and what they did. Then DNA extraction and how they did this. Microbial techniques, so safety techniques in a lab. Last one, we've got it broken down to computer skills, so software and or programs and languages in which they're conversant. This one, again, we've got it broken down for a specific lab equipment, and here's the type of equipment I've used, computer programs, specific training for safety in a lab. Again, for CV, research experience, conducted research for sponsored projects by applying analytical, numerical, and experimental methods in geomechanics, emphasizing nonlinear finite element procedures, constitutive modeling, and applications of dynamics of porous media. I won't go through all of this, but you can see what I'm talking about in terms of telling the employer what you did and how you did it. I tell students, again, under a particular experience, those bullet points, think of it as an algebraic equation. Using software X and equipment Y, accomplish task Z. We can move the variables around, accomplish task Z, using equipment Y and software X. But give them clear, concise examples of what you've done and how you've done it, because past performance is the best predictor of future performance. Okay, moving along. Again, teaching experience from a CV, other experience. There are any number of categories that may go into a CV, but the reality is, again, keyword relevance. How is this content relevant to the opportunity? So, I don't like summaries, but I've seen some that are really good summaries. I will tell you, in my time doing this kind of work, and it's over 15 years, I've seen maybe a half a dozen that were really good. So I discourage students from doing them. But these are other things, again, that might go into your resume or CV. Again, sample categories, professional associations that the person belongs to, achievements, awards, and nominations. You can break it down into research interests. And again, specifically for a CV, these are the things that my background and experience have prepared me for. Teaching experience, the kinds of content that I've taught in classroom or other setting. Profile. Okay, and again, this is profiles for a CV. Trained researcher, what they've done. Skilled writer and editor, what they've done. Experienced educator at a Research One institution and a community college. Okay, I can work with different populations at different educational levels to do this kind of work. Again, professional activities. This is that third leg of the research, teaching, and service. So this is about service, about engagement with your field. So if you are presenting at conferences, if you're making contributions to professional opportunities in the field, these are things that can be included in a CV. Publications. If you have publications, and it's great, you don't have to be first author. You could be second or third author, but they're done in, actually, that should be reverse chronological order, most recent to least recent. If you have something in a book, so maybe a chapter in a book or a monograph, chapters in the above, referee journals. So this is about, again, peer-reviewed journals. If it's electronic, again, that's fine. For foreign publications, you should provide an English translation. Don't make people look things up in other languages. So make sure you're providing that for them. And again, invited papers. You can see the example here. I always tell students, whatever format is preferred in your field, whether that's APA, Turabian, some of that, use the format that is appropriate for your field of study. But basically, here are the writers, here's the title of the paper, where it was presented, and again, the dates. Here's another example. Again, like I say, consult the APA manual for correct formatting. References. Okay, if you're doing a resume, references are a separate document. I always tell students, give the employer what they request, nothing more. In a CV, your references just continue at the end of the document. Now, references are people, individuals who can speak to your content knowledge. What do you know? Your skill sets, software, tools, equipment, processes, languages, you know how to use. Or again, your actual experience, someone who has supervised you in a job, in a lab, etc. So these are people who can speak to what you know, your areas of expertise, and or your professionalism in doing your work. Like I said, in the CV, it just continues on at the end of the document. This should be 3 to 5 individuals, and 3 is typical. There are other organizations that may require multiple, but you can do that as is appropriate, who have direct knowledge of your skills and qualifications. So faculty, former employers, supervisors, colleagues, club advisors, supervisors in a lab, always get their permission before using, and make it easy for them, okay? Ask them, can you give me a good recommendation? Provide them with a copy of your resume or CV. Make it easy for them to say nice things about you. Oh, so-and-so is involved with these things. And again, it reinforces what you're trying to communicate to the reader. So here's a list of references. Again, name, position, address, phone number, email address. And that's essentially what you want to have. So 3 to 5 for any particular opportunity. Now, I apologize for the size of this, but it was something that I copied and pasted into the presentation. Here's an example of a CV. Here's someone, again, getting their PhD in language, reading, and culture. Their major is in culture and education, minor is in higher ed. They got their master's degree, their bachelor's. Then they've got their dissertation. So title of the degree, who their committee was, and an abstract of what their dissertation is about. Then they've got research experience in different positions, teaching experience, what the course was, when they taught it, other experience, advising specialist, writing tutor, etc. Publications, presentations, awards and honors. And then, as I said, references would follow on the next page. Here's another one. This is, again, in a scientific field. They've started with a summary of qualifications. Again, there's nothing wrong with that if you do a good job with it. But really think in terms of who's reading this and what is it they want to know. So for this person, yeah, this checks off the boxes in terms of the position they're applying for. It shows where their focus is. PhD, chemistry, bachelor's, chemistry, related research experience. Then related teaching experience. Then skill sets. And again, you saw this earlier, laboratory equipment, computer programs, safety trainings that they have, activities, professional things they've been engaged with, and then other service in terms of advising, etc. Awards, presentations, publications. So this is essentially the elements that need to go into this. As graduate students, you may have sufficient research experience, etc., to create an actual CV. Most undergraduates do not. They just don't have the content to put in there. They can create something that looks like a CV, but in reality, it's more like a resume. All right, moving along, because I want you to understand all these things together. Letters of recommendation. This is a different animal. My rule of thumb is 6 weeks. What does that mean? At least 6 weeks in advance of when the application deadline is. Ask the individual if they can give you a good recommendation. Provide them a copy of resume or CV and the job description so they can make sure, oh, yeah, this is how this person fits that opportunity. Give them information in writing. Who is this going to? What is it they need to know about you? Assuming it's not a confidential recommendation, ask for a copy and follow up. This is important because when you're submitting materials, the responsibility for it rests firmly on your shoulders. So you need to make sure those materials get submitted. Remember, a resume, or it's not a laundry list of everything you've done. It needs to be focused. It needs to tell them what they're asking for in the position description. What did you do? How did you do it? Again, be concise. I would suggest, again, at master's level, probably 2 or 3 pages. Again, if you've got a PhD, 4 pages tops for a newly minted PhD and a CV. Again, reverse chronological order, most recent first. I always tell students formatting is the most personal aspect of any document because this represents you to the reader. So use a format that makes sense for you and your field, categories that fit your experience, emphasize strengths, experience, and skills. You don't need to include personal information in a resume. It's great that you're in excellent health. That's not something you need to convey in the resume. It's about, yeah, I know these things. I know my field. I've got this kind of experience using these kinds of skills. And again, avoid templates. So your heading, your name should be at least as large and bold as anything on the page. Remember that by using bold, italics, bullet points, you're drawing the person's eye through the document. Education, specific degree, licensure, etc. Skills or experience would be the next thing on there, depending on your field. Key, relevance, to everything. Remember that employers spend a short amount of time. Even at higher levels, they're not spending, they're first checking off the boxes. Yes, this person has everything. They may go back and review that information, but this is still about the highlights, the essential information that they're looking for. Professional answering machine messages, voicemail, okay? Make sure that whatever your voicemail is, it isn't something flippant, it isn't something obscene, it isn't cute. You want to be recognized as a professional. Make sure that your voicemail sounds professional. Cover letters. I'm going to cover this really quickly. Okay. This is a way of interesting the employer in you. So the idea here is, I tell students, if your resume is a snapshot or your CV is a short video, your cover letter is a magnifying glass where you get to focus in on specific things you want to emphasize to the employer. Here's why. Again, I'm a great fit. You're marketing your qualifications. You're demonstrating good writing skills. Again, this is about effective communication. And to provide more detailed information on 1 or 2 items from your resume or CV. So it's not, again, cover letter, typically single page. It might be 2 pages, but less is more. Get to the point, give them a clear idea of why you're interested and how you're qualified. And last paragraph of your cover letter is a call to action. I look forward to the opportunity to talk with you in greater length about whatever the opportunity is. Maybe it's at a conference, maybe it's, again, in a career fair setting, or again, interview setting. But the idea here is you want to move from resume and cover letter to interview. Remember this is not academic writing. This is not research that you're doing and submitting for a grade. This is business correspondence. So it's a business transaction. Your cover letter needs to be quick and to the point. It is tailored. Okay, if you're applying for the same type of position over and over again, your resume or CV may not change much. But anytime you're applying for a specific opportunity, your cover letter must be tailored to that opportunity. Okay, ideally single page. Your interest in the position, your qualifications, know what they're looking for. Research the organization, know as much about it so you can provide them with relevant information. Again, assuming it's printed, neutral paper, it's a conversational tone. Demonstrate your interest, demonstrate your qualifications, indicate how the employer can follow up with you, your availability. Work from an outline, okay? I am not a great writer. I write well, but it's work, okay? ADA, this is the outline you want to follow. So, attention, I'm submitting an application for. Tell them where you learned of the position and why you're interested. Interest, I was excited to learn about this opening. Desire, tell them why you're interested and how you're qualified. Here's how I think my knowledge, skills, experience match with what you're asking for in the position description. Call to action. Request the opportunity to speak with them in further detail about the position. So AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. Key components, again, your address, the date. So when you're writing this, your address and the date, business address of the organization, and it's really important, make sure you get it right because it's important to them and it will be important to you getting the job. So if you're submitting lots of applications, proofread it, have someone else proofread it, The idea is it has to be perfect because if anything's wrong, in the trash. So your address, the date, inside address, the organization, your greeting or salutation, always to a person or a position. If you absolutely cannot find a name, dear Director of Human Resources, dear Search Committee Chair, dear Internship Coordinator. It is never to whom it may concern. Okay, that's like getting mail that's addressed occupant. What do you do with that? In the trash. Okay, so the whole idea here is these are the key components. Make it simple. Again, who is your audience? If it's academic, again, you're going to show them specific things that are academically focused. If it's industry, they aren't concerned necessarily with publications, but they want to know about how have you applied your skills to doing research? What are the specific things that make you somebody who can step into this job and take over? Business, direct application of your researcher skills to their enterprise, that you're able to do what they need done. This is essentially the format that you want your cover letter to look like. So again, your address, date, business address, the organization, your greeting, and again, always to a person or a position. And so it's Mr., Dr., Senator, and their surname, their last name. Again, very straightforward process. And you would include this again with the resume. If you're doing this electronically and there's just one submission, here's my resume or CV, here's my cover letter, all in one package. Know your resources, and I'm going to zip through this information. You can find this on our website, careercenter.utsa.edu, bar menu across the top of the page, top dead center, resources. We've got sample cover letters. The page doesn't look like this anymore. It's been updated, but there are sample cover letters there. There are other resources, even though these are directly related to undergraduates. As graduate students, look through those resources because some of them may still apply to you as a graduate student. So don't think that, okay, this isn't important for me. This is all geared towards undergrad. No, get in there and look at it because you can find some real gems in our resources. Okay, I'm going to shut up and stop sharing my screen and ask if there are any questions.